Hello, hello, hello. Where's my heart beating? Is it only me? Is everybody back? Is it only me? Is everybody? Thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
No. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Fantastic. I'm happy to be here, and I hope you are too. If you are not happy, let them go. Okay. Are you happy to be here?
Yeah.
What are you looking to learn from today? Like, who are you looking forward to meet today? See this your people. Anyway, I'm so happy to have you all here. Like, I'm the owner of the event. Anyway, nice to meet you all here. My name is Nanka Estienne, and all of you call me the... Thank you very much, the visibility builder. Only one person knows that. Anyway, without further ado, I'm excited to have all of you here. And I'm happy that you all have taken the time to be here today. We don't have a lot of time, so we're going to get right straight into the business of today. Now, how many of you have seen that Airtel advert where one lady was blending crayfish with, oh fantastic, blending crayfish with blender, the other one was using, and the other one where they were blending medusi and using, you see that? What does that advert remind you of?
Growth, innovation, change.
Innovation change. So that's exactly the benefit of telling good stories. People will always refer to your product, your service, or to you when you're able to tell the right stories. And we are excited to have the right thought leaders here with us to help us learn how to arrange our stories. These ones have been able to build their own businesses and stand out in their niche using storytelling techniques. So I hope that you make the best of it and you make the best of this opportunity. So without further ado, I'm going to be introducing the one who has brought us here today. Well, I'm super excited to bring her up stage. The person I'm about to introduce to you is a multiple best-selling author. She's an award-winning entrepreneur and international speaker. She's a trainer, coach, and the principal consultant at Edawok Consulting. She's the foremost thought leader on mindset for entrepreneurs and open online publishing for personal and business brands. She's also the founder of the Online Publishers and Entrepreneurs Network, a community of over 20,000 authors. She's dedicated to helping Africans tell their original story from their African perspective and showcasing Africa's literacy skills to the world by helping writers become published as well from profiting from their skills. In 2018 alone, she helped over 250 authors get published, with more than 35 Amazon bestsellers emerging. That's some accolades there. Since 2017, she has hosted the Open Writers Challenge yearly, and that's a 28 days writing challenge to help writers to improve on their writing skills and to get discovered, and has received worldwide recognition. In September 2017, she was nominated for Supportive Publishing by the Mainland TV Fashion Show and Awards and has been profiled by Panacea NG. She leads Africa and her network, where she was listed as one of Nigeria's promising young female entrepreneurs. Her articles have been featured in several blogs and news publications, as well as in the Business Day CEO magazine and as a Guardian woman in the Guardian newspaper. In March of 2018, in the commemoration of the International Women's Day, she was invited to speak on building an entrepreneurial mindset as a woman, and in collaboration with the Google Business Group in Cotonou. She has also partnered with AXA Manta Nigeria to share what progress means for her as an emerging young female entrepreneur in Nigeria. She's also spoken at several events in Nigeria and with footprints in the Republic of Benin, Kenya, and Tanzania. She's the convener of the Business Breakthrough Workshop, where she helps budding entrepreneurs understand their vision, set goals in alignment with that vision, and create strategies to actualize them. Please join me to welcome who? I can hear you. Edirin Edewor. Thank you everyone for that resounding applause. She deserves it. The second on my list today, some of you call him the Tribe Master, others call him the Fufu and Plantain Master. But he's the founder of the Expert Business School, the only training program in Nigeria specifically designed to help entrepreneurial coaches, consultants, and trainers rapidly build expert businesses that consistently generate high monthly six-figure income for their owners. I can tell you that for free. He's also the author of Power Ideas, a monthly series of personal and business development audio training programs currently used by small and medium-scale business owners in Nigeria to multiply their influence, impact, and income. He has worked with entrepreneurs, small business owners, and business professionals to design, develop, and implement business models, strategies, and systems that attract high-value and high-paying clients to help them multiply their income, boost productivity, effectiveness, and performance in the marketplace, and establish them as leading experts in their field. His clients have included the Nigeria Society of Physiotherapists, Jador Cakes, Sako Entertainment, Dubai Kitchen, Stover BV International, Cerebral Designs Interior, and so many more. He speaks annually to entrepreneurs, independent sales professionals, corporate employees, industry association members, and youth groups, having mistakes too, on personal effectiveness and income generation. His two-pronged message is nobody's better than you or better than you. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Right. And every experience, whether good or bad, has commercial value. He inspires hundreds of entrepreneurs each month from Nigeria, South Africa, Ghana, India, and the rest of the globe to help them improve their personal lives and dramatically increase income, influence, and impact. Please join me with a resounding applause to welcome our one and only tribe star, Mr. Victor Bassey. On my list is an amazing young woman. I admire her a lot. Like, she's one person I love to listen to, sit around, learn from, grow from. She's a fantastic thought leader. Young woman with, I don't know, exceptional minds just to change the world. And I'm really blessed to be on the same stage with her today. She's the managing partner of Uloma Multi Solutions, a growing health and safety business. Her safety movement focuses on creating unique safety education products for African children and educators in order to intentionally groom safety-conscious children. And I tell you, we need that in this world at this stage. She also works as a cabin crew and safety officer with aero contractors using the Safety Chic platform on social media. You know her now, right? She engages in safety advocacy, and she also has the Train Them Young initiative. Under her company, she has taught over 2,000 students across the country with safety skills and is set to debut in other African countries in 2019. Man, this is achieved via her training and child safety storybooks, The Adventure of Mona, which was self-published on Amazon. She convenes the annual School Safety Summit, where relevant stakeholders proffer solutions to safety challenges affecting school children. Due to her work in 2016, she became a Yali Regional Leadership Center Fellow for Emerging African Leaders. In 2017, she was a finalist for the McKinsey Next Generation Women Leader Award, and in 2018, she became the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneur and a Mandela Washington Fellow. She currently sits on the West African Regional Advisory Board to IREX and USAID, and on matters relating to Mandela Washington Fellowship. She holds a Bachelor of Art degree in Communication and Language Arts from the University of Ibadan. And she has other relevant safety certifications, including the NEBOSH and IRCE. She has also received entrepreneurship training from the Adsonian project of Bocconi University in Italy and the Tony Elumelu Foundation. Our guest is committed to ensure more children get safety education in Africa, and she plans to keep introducing innovative safety programs and products that enhance safety consciousness. Please join me to welcome the one and only Ugochi Obidiegwu. The next person on my list is the one that all of us call Olorisupergal. Yes. Olorisupergal, Oluwatosin, she's known as Olorisupergal. Nobody even knows her name is Oluwatosin. You only know you are the Olorisupergal. She's the founder of the leading lifestyle entertainment website called Olorisupergal.com, one of the early adopters of the Nigerian social media space. She has also founded the Media Exposure, a digital marketing arm of the Olorisupergal Limited. Through the OSG brand, Tosin recently championed the New Media Conference, an annual gathering of stakeholders with the aim of improving marketing and advertising standards in the Nigerian online and digital media space. This was first held in May 2015. Tosin has grown in influence in the new media business in Nigeria, building the number of brands and transforming the OSD brand from just that solo blogger into a team of more than 8 since 2015. Thus, she continues to contribute to youth empowerment and general as a leveler and has influenced many young Nigerians through her story on blogging as well as on social media. Since her first speaking gig in 2011, she has spoken on various platforms including Social Media Week Lagos, the Red Summit, Leading Ladies Africa, Rise Network, MTV Based Africa, and Digital Entertainment Africa Conference. She also began training aspiring bloggers since 2014. And the cost of working with over 300 corporates and individual client brands since inception, Tosin has gathered several accolades, including being named on 2 important Wine Nigeria lists in 2015 as Nigeria's 100 most inspiring women and 100 most influential Nigerians on Twitter in 2015. In 2014, Tosin was nominated for the Eloy Blogger of the Year Award as well as the Social Media Africa Award. The previous year, the OSG has been nominated for the Eloy Online Media of the Year Award. In 2011, she had emerged the Best Blogger at the Tush Awards, and a year after, she won the Best Media Enterprise Award. Tosin has been interviewed in local and international media, including the following: Ebony Live TV, Punch Newspaper, Triple, City People, as well as in Vanguard and Radio 2000 in Joburg, and Dexterity Radio in Bangkok, Johannesburg. Please put your hands together as a welcome.
I'll get her back to the stage for this.
So you agree with me that when safe hands in good hands and welcoming
once
into
you come,
this event,
the
it's
person
all
with the mic,
influential
I'll relate
content,
it to
how to use storytelling to drive social change in this digital age. So at this point, I'm going to be passing the mic to our moderator, who is also going to be leading the panel session and driving them to speak all the grammar, answer all the questions, and let us know how to use storytelling to build our influence. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Edirin Edewor, as earlier introduced, and I am the convener of this event. This is a panel session, and as you have heard from the many accolades, these are amazing people who know their onions, who know exactly what they are talking about. They are people who have used social media to dominate their industry. They are people who have used social media to talk about the things that are difficult to talk about and also to drive social change. There are a lot of us here who feel like we want to do something, we want to make our voices heard, we want to be able to cause change in the world. And social media has given us a platform to be able to do that. Now, it's not always good, as you have seen. There's fake news, there's so many things that are put up online that cause all kinds of confusion. But there are a few people who are using this particular tool, to do social good. And one of the biggest drivers of social change and encouraging other people to join in the fight for good and also to do good with their social media is the power of storytelling. You would agree with me that storytelling is dominating the world today. When it comes to advertisement, when it comes to branding, when it comes to building influence, whether online or offline, storytelling is an integral and a very, very important part. And all of these amazing people here, including myself, have been able to learn how to harness this power to be able to drive social change in the digital age. Now, without further ado, I'll just quickly go down through the questions. We'll have a couple of interactive sessions. We'll be asking our panelists some questions, and then towards the end, we're going to pause and take some questions from the audience. Hope that's okay?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So the first question is going to go to Mr. Victor Bassey. So I think as an introduction, could you kindly tell us what the role of storytelling is in the way we now share content on social media?
Well, I think for a fact, I don't know if this is on. Okay.
It's on. I do love the sound of my voice. You guys like it, right? Okay. So I think in order for us to understand the importance of a thing, we've got to understand what that thing is first. And for me, the word story means a lot more than most people think it is. For me, it's about a journey and transformation that takes place during that journey. And so if you're looking at it from that perspective, you realize that the moment you step or you get on social media, or you take advantage of any of the platforms on social media, what you're actually doing from day one to this particular moment is telling a story. You started a journey, you've gotten to this particular point, and in between, you have changed. The good thing is that it's your responsibility to define that narrative. It's your responsibility to decide what people are going to gain and what people are going to get from that particular story. And so if you look at it from that perspective, you realize that social media is kind of like a knife, and story in social media is also like a knife. If you don't take charge of the narrative that is out there about you, you could basically set yourself up to be in a situation where the opportunities and the advantages that you could actually have access to, you get locked away from them just simply because you're not taking responsibility for the kind of story that you're sending out there. So for me, that's primarily what I think story is in social media. It's the opportunity for you to direct the narrative about your own life, about the things that you stand for, about the things that are important to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Victor Bassey, and that's really important. Understanding that whether we like it or not, we are telling stories on our social media. Because whatever you put out there gives a narrative in the minds of the people who are seeing it, and they will then form a story. So it's important for you to be able to direct the direction of the stories that you want people to see through proper storytelling. So Ugochi, we know that you have a day job as an air hostess. But you also are more known for your work with championing safety habits and everything that has to do with safety in not just in Nigeria, in Africa, and even overseas. So we just want to know though, what was the defining moment? Did anything happen, maybe in the air, and something happened that made you say, oh wow, if we had better safety regulations or if proper safety checks were in place, we would have done this? Was there anything that spurred you to decide to go into advocating for safety?
All right, hello everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, okay. Hi everybody. Okay, so I work in aviation as a cabin crew and safety officer, but before that, a year on the job, my boss calls me and says, I would like you to take part in a meeting on safety. I just thought, okay. The reason she chose me was because every year in the airline, you're supposed to write these exams, and every time I'm always getting 90 something or 100. So she just thought, okay, she's intelligent, she can handle it. And I thought it was a one-off meeting, only for me to return from my flight one day, and I saw an email to everybody, telling everybody I was now a safety officer. So the person I was supposed to work with, she asked me, do you have any safety certifications? Have you done anything? I said, no. So she gave me some books to read. As I read about it, I fell in love with what I was reading. It aligned with the kind of things I wanted to do. And I saw that for you to be a competent person as a safety professional, you need to have the certifications, you need to do training, you need to have experience and all that. So I started training myself, I learned a lot. But what brought it home for me, because you know, all this while I was training myself for oil and gas. You know, that's where they really take all these things seriously. Oil and gas, construction and aviation. The rest of us will just do God forbid that is not my portion, have you? So I was preparing for oil and gas, and then I lost my mom. There was an accident, and by the time I got to the scene of the accident, it was too late. The people around did not know what to do. Now, with all my knowledge, with all my training, I was the only one on the scene that knew what to do, so they couldn't help me right. Even when I wanted to carry my mom, the way they all behaved, and that wasn't the time to have a lecture. So I just, joined and carried, and that passed. A few months after, I started seeing stories in the news. Families were dying because that was the period we had this fuel issues. People were buying lots of petrol in jerry cans, so the thing was exploding because they didn't know we were supposed to leave some space for expansion. Then there was the biscuit factory in Lhasa where the workers were locked up in the room so they couldn't steal, and at night a fire broke out. So there were all sorts of stories, and I just thought with a little bit more information, people would know what to do really. Because when I read the stories, you could just see that I was just ignorance. Most of the things it was basically ignorance. So I started simplifying safety knowledge. Prior to me, most times when people talk about safety, just going for training in certain organizations, collect big money, and that was it. But my job was to simplify so that everybody, irrespective of where you work, you could understand. So I started writing articles, And when the article wasn't really, Nigerians, we don't like to read except it's amebo, relationship. Except, most of the people in this room are from either Head Start Africa or Open, and so I know that you have that culture of reading, but you know how it is out there. And so, Steve Harris advised I started doing videos. So I started the 60-second videos. Every Wednesday, like today, if you go on my Instagram handle, there is one out there. I do a short video that simplifies what I have written for the week. So that basically on the go, you understand what you're supposed to do. So this week we're talking about how to stay safe during election season. So my job is to simplify it so that on the go, people can get it. And so it all started from wanting to work for oil and gas, my mom dying, nobody knowing what to do on the scene, various stories in the news, and I just decided to do something about it.
So much for that. I found that for everybody who wants to do something, who's even making a change, it all begins with a personal story. And your story actually helps you to drive you and to drive the passion with which you do whatever it is that you do. Which leads me to Ajibade. If you've not read her book, you definitely should go read her book, Olorisupergal, From Social Misfit to Social Media Hero. So from your book, I read that you did not necessarily start on this path, so you had no idea you wanted to be a social media influencer. For some reason or the other, you found yourself in a cyber cafe, you were teaching and training yourself. So the question is, at that particular point, did you have an end in mind? Did you say, okay, now that I'm about to do this thing, this is where I want to see myself, or this is the story I want to tell with the life that I'm living?
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Me, I would say my passion led today. For everything that has happening right now, I didn't really plan. There was no plan to say, okay, I want to be this person in the next few years. So if you look at it, I joined Facebook 2008. Facebook basically was just for family and friends. Yeah. So you didn't have external people who didn't even know about you, on your platform. So having to see that I had interest in sharing news and stories, I just, imbibed that by putting that on my own page. So, and with time, engagement, people will always say, oh, we want more, and all of that. So that led me to, continue doing what I was doing and what made people talk on my platform. And then down the line, I think in 2010, I went for a symposium at Keja, and a friend of mine told me, oh, why not open a blog? Why not start a blog? Or do you know this? So can you guys hear me? Person, or do you know who this person is and all? And I said no, I had no idea what a blog was or is. So and then I just went to Gmail, they told me what to do, blogger.com, and then I signed up for free. So the things that I was doing on Facebook and then transferred on the blog. And that was 2010. 2009 I joined Twitter. So Twitter was really difficult. Then it was still 140 characters. You needed to crack your brain to say something just in the short form. So I left Twitter and then I just faced the blog. So I poured all my energy that I was using on Facebook, Twitter, and then I put everything on the blog. Before I knew it, I went back to Twitter and then Nairaland, all these sharing platforms. You need to share your stories, you need to share your links so that people can actually go to your blog to read. So that led me back to Facebook and Twitter. But looking at it, throughout that period, I was always at the cyber cafe, yes. And I spent most of my day, night, every day, Monday to Saturday, maybe sometimes Sundays after church, I would just find myself there. Something just kept taking me back to the cafe. I really do not know what exactly it was. And at the point, I started getting harassed by boys. So they thought I was into forex trading, because at that time, forex trading was really in the news. Or they felt I was a yahoo person. And I was not comfortable with that. So I had to even change location. Was that terrible? So I had to change again. And then, so it kept occurring. I just had to save up some money. And then I got myself a laptop. Then I got myself a Starcom modem. I don't know if you guys remember Starcom. So I got myself a Starcom modem. And then I got some money again. I bought myself a generator in my dad's house. So my dad never liked the fact that the gen would run upwards late in the night. So whenever my gen is on, he would usually just leave me with my thing locked up in the room, and then I would just continue working. So I would say passion led me to what I'm doing today. I didn't see anything. There was no money. And again, for everything that was in at that time was basically free. So until another friend of mine told me, oh, you can actually charge someone to talk about their story or to talk about their event. So there was event promotion basically. Facebook was very simple then, but now it's really difficult. It's really difficult getting things done on Facebook. So I would usually do that and then let's say get it paid, So there was no plan, but here we are today.
Thank you so much. So sometimes you can see that we can fall into a plan or walk into a plan or even be intentional, but the important thing is whatever your hand finds doing, do it well. She obviously did it well. That's why she's who she is today. Thank you so much. I actually have a follow-up question to that. When you were talking about Twitter being difficult.
My question is, can everybody hear me? So my question is, are there modalities when it comes to posting content and posting stories on the different platforms like Instagram and Twitter
and Facebook? Are there different modalities as an influencer? I know you're very, very big on both Twitter and Instagram. But are there different modalities for people who want to be able to tell proper stories? There's something that people have to have. Do they have to have a love or an affinity for a particular platform to use that platform? Is there something else that defines that?
Okay, so I think I would say for every platform, for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube, they're all even looking at the fact that we run the Olorisupergal platform on all this on the social media sites, the way we communicate with our followers is really different. So if we communicate with you on Instagram, it's a different way we communicate with you on Facebook or Twitter. It's a different thing entirely. And looking at the fact that these platforms are here, you just need to understand what works for you. Now everybody's on Facebook. There are Facebook groups, Facebook communities. Some people are trying to get even 1,000, just get 1,000 people in one Facebook group. You can't. On Instagram, it's very easy for them to put out a picture and a caption, and they write hashtags, and then they put out their content and people engage with them. So if you see that you are getting more engagement on a particular platform, just stay there and build up, rather than go up and down trying to please everybody just because people are on this platform. So just look at what works for you, identify it. Once you find it, just continue engagement on the platform.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Appreciate that. She was talking about communities as well, and we know that you are the king of communities, Victor Bassey. So there are a lot of people who are saying, I want to do something, I want to say something, I want to have a voice, but nobody's willing to listen to me. For people who feel they don't have a voice, how can creating and leading a community online help them to find their voice and also champion a cause?
Okay, I've got good news and bad news. Which one do you guys want first? Very Nigerian of you. Okay, the bad news is if you don't believe that you have a voice, if you don't think that you have a voice, starting your own community is a bad idea. It will do you more harm than good. The safest bet when you are at that particular point in time where you don't think you have a voice or something to say is for you to be a part of some other person's movement or community. Because many times it's in serving within the context of something else that is already bigger than you, that you find yourself, that you realize what it is that you're good for. When I started the Highly Paid Experts Network, what that platform did for a lot of people is give them an opportunity to express themselves. And a lot of the communities on Facebook that have sprung up today, a good number of them came from within the Highly Paid Experts Network. And it was while they were within the Highly Paid Experts Network that they discovered, this is what I'm actually about. This is what drives me. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I want to address. And it's not just online, it's the same thing also offline. A lot of times, the safest bet for you to understand what direction your life is in is for you to go serve somewhere else. So you've got to understand that if you don't think, or you're not clear, and you're not very, very articulate about whatever future it is that you want to create for people to follow, go serve somewhere else until you have that clear. Because if you're not clear, bringing people together is one thing. Keeping them together and making them follow you for the long haul is a completely different thing. And the problem with the social media audience right now is that they're very, very fickle, and you don't get too many second chances. That's the sad reality of it. Now, once you're clear about whatever it is that you want and you have that voice, so to speak, social media flips around and can now give you multiple second choices for you to get it right. But you have to be clear. People have to know for a fact that, hey, there's a reason why we should follow this woman or this man. Okay? So essentially, if you don't have that conviction about what you're about, if you don't have that clear focus about what it is that you want to change or what it is that you want to make happen, go and serve until you're clear. Now, the moment that you're clear, social media is like a jet plane. It can take you there faster than anything else that I know.
Thank you very much. Also, a follow-up question, an observation and question. I actually am also a product of the highly paid experts network. When I joined and the community was 1,000 members, I was like, yeah, how can somebody handle 1,000 members of a Facebook group, not just their followers? People interact. But today, 1.5 years later, I have a community of 20,000 people. And that was because I was able to be on a platform where I could find my voice and build influence. Which brings me back to this question. You've been able to build influence online and offline. I mean, we heard your pedigree and it is amazing. It is not easy to work with African presidents. However, you did something amazing last year where you single-handedly raised income for some children, both for Christmas and also for their education. And in a couple of days, I think maybe a week or so, you were able to raise 10 million naira on social media, in fact, on Facebook groups only. So my question is, why did you decide to go the online route instead of going the traditional route of doing fundraising?
The simple answer is that it's easier. It's really, really easy. But that has to be premised by two things that you need to understand. A lot of times I think people think that social media is different from real life, that online is different from offline, but it's really, really not. Okay? When you're online or offline, when people meet you, they want to know two things about you. Can you do what you say you will do? Can I trust you? Those are the only two things. If you meet a person for the very, very first time and they can answer that, they can provide you with funding for literally anything. If you come up to someone and say that I can provide biodegradable, blah, 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 whatever that thing is, if the person has proof that you can deliver on that and that they can trust you to be the person that will be diligent with whatever funds that are in your hands, having access to the funding is not a problem. So it's the same thing, pretty much what happened with me last December. The fallout of the 10 million is as a result of roughly 8 years of being on social media consistently and having the same message. But what was even more interesting, because what tipped it over to 10 million is like, sorry, it wasn't 10 million, it was 11.5, just to be clear. But what tipped it over was the fact that right from 2003, 2004, my business has always been about social service. There has always been a portion of my profits that I've always dedicated to the education of kids. People who are smart, but because they don't have access to money, they're more or less not able to tap into world-class education. So that has always been there. So when I put that post out, yes, a lot of the people who initially bought in were people who had come to trust me as a result of my interaction on social media and believe that whatever it is that I say I'll do. But the one person who tipped it over was somebody who had been watching me right from the very first time when I was a butcher throughout. And so when this came up, so when this particular opportunity came up, what she basically did was open up an opportunity for me to make the same offer in a church with 5,000 members. And that literally just tipped things over. The point I'm trying to make is this. First of all, once you're on social media, people are watching. The most influential people, the richest people on social media, they don't comment, they don't share, they don't like. They just watch. And the annoying thing is you never know who is looking. It's very, very annoying. It's also very scary. Because on the flip side, you don't know who's stalking you. Okay, so it's important for you to keep that. Finally, there's always this thing about self-interest. If you're going to run a social project, never go to somebody and appeal to their better side. Every single person here is here for one reason. You're not here for Edirin. You're not here for me. You're not here for Ugochi. You're not here for Tosin. You're here for yourself. And so what made that offer that I made work, and most of the other offers that I make, is the fact that I put myself in the shoes of the people that I'm with, and I make them an offer that is something that is absolutely useful to them, and they would have to be brain dead to say no. And then at the end of that, I say, oh, by the way, the reason why I'm doing this is because I want these kids to be taken care of. And because of those two combinations, it sells effectively. All right, so thanks.
Thank you very much. I think that deserves a round of applause. Apologies for saying 10 million. I did not know it was. So Ugochi, you also have been championing social good, and your own good has taken you places that many of us have not even been to. You've created resources for safety from your organization that have been shared not just in Nigeria but outside the shores of Africa even. And your work on safety awareness has catapulted you to places we heard her pedigree, the Regional Leadership Fellowship, the Mandela Washington Fellowship, the Otono Edewor Foundation, and many more that I can't even list. Would you say that when these organizations and platforms are considering people to bring on board their platforms to help them to spread their message, would you say that the kind of content that you put out on social media was very instrumental to doing just that?
Very much so. I will start from where he ended. He said something that resonated very much with me. The people that would make the decision about you do not like, do not comment, do not share. There are many places that people have called me to, and when I go there either for a speaking engagement or for anything, and I ask them, so how did you find out about me? And then they mention someone that I do not even know. You know, when people like and make comments, you recognize some names. I have never seen those names before. So what you're putting out there is very deliberate. I recently spoke, I'm the coordinator of the Agri Network in Lagos, and when we had this Mandela Washington Fellowship applications being reviewed, there were some issues that came up. And one of it was that a lot of us do not have positive digital training. Some do not even have it at all, even if it's negative, it's not even there. But it is very important. Most of these organizations check you out. So I wrote a story March last year of how I got the Oluwatosin Foundation grant and the Mandela Washington Fellowship within 48 hours. My name appeared on 2 major lists. And I wrote it on Sunday. I have this thing called Say to Chic story where every Sunday I share something about my life just to teach other people, I just shared it on my page and then I shared it on Head Start Africa. The next few days, it was on the Oluwatosin Foundation blog. They took the parts that was relevant to them, and then they saw that I had been interviewed by Chic Africa when I was nominated for an award in the UK last year. They saw the one that Bella Nigeria did, I was a woman crush on International Women's Day. They just went around, took, and they created an article, and everything important to me was there. That was the same with the Oluwatosin Foundation. That's what they did. That's what Bella Nigeria also did. That's what Chic Africa did, aside the fact that I'm a contributor. They also did their checks. So what are you putting out there? A lot of people are always worried, you think, so that they will not say I'm showing off, I want accolades. See, it's not about the people. It's not about them. It's about you. It's about what you're trying to achieve. You want your voice to be heard. You want people to know that what you are doing is important. It's making an impact to people. You have to document it. So now, in fact, when I started, I've actually worked, this month makes it 7 years I've worked in Aero Contractors, but I did not start sharing pictures of myself in the cabin crew uniform until 2016. Why? When I started talking about what I was doing on safety, it wasn't really getting attention. So you know what I'll do? I'll take a picture of myself in the uniform, fine picture, I'll put it. After that, I'll follow up with safety. Follow up with safety talk. So because I noticed that my pictures tend to get a lot of attention. Then when I'm making sense, you are not responding. I don't understand. So I had to mix it. And it started because I knew that, yes, I didn't really want a lot of people to know I was working at it. So people started telling me to book flights for them. I don't book flights for people. You can go online and do that. But because I needed to do something, I had to sacrifice my privacy for that. And so you need to put this information together, create hashtags. So I did the Train Them Young initiative. I have a hashtag #2TYI. If you click on it, everywhere I've gone to in Nigeria, you will see it there. So you need to create those things because people check. So when you submit all those applications, they want to see, oh, this is fantastic. Is it true? And they come and check. There was a case on the Mandela Washington Fellowship, one of the reviews, and one application was really fantastic, such that the person from another African country wanted to connect with that applicant. And she came online to check, and she didn't see anything. If you are the one, okay, what she saw was actually white people running the same project. If you are the one, honestly, what would you think? But is it possible that it's not a scam?
Yeah, sure.
So why are we not saying what we are doing? So it's very important. There was an application I did last year, and then they said, put 5 links that talk about the work you are doing. If you do not have, explain why. I think I should end it there.
So I actually want to add to what she's proposing to. Because looking at documentation, it is very, very important. See, you being featured on these platforms are very key. So if you're actually going to apply for an application, like now I think the TIP application is ongoing at the moment. So what would you say that you've been doing? What would you say that you've done? You have your social media accounts. You're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram. It's not about just slaying on Instagram. Use that same Instagram account. Do not open another account. You can delete those pictures or archive them. Use that same account to actually tell people what you've been doing. You have your highlights on your Instagram page. Go to your story. Put it up as a story. Add your link to your website or where people can actually find you. Then save it on your highlights on your Instagram page. Your Instagram page is actually your digital CV. Believe it or not, it is your CV because people want to look out for you. They go on Google, they search for your name, Tosin Ajibade. What are they seeing on social media? Are you on Wikipedia? Have you been featured on other platforms? If not, reach out to them. It might sound very simple right now, but you might see it as very difficult. But it is when you take it up, prepare yourself to push forward. You will definitely see traction over what you're saying here on stage. So it is very, very important. Your online, your profile, your bio, very important. It's your CV. It is your CV.
Just hold the mic as well. Wow, you've heard it. You have to put together, the way you put together your CV when you are going for a job application, that is how you put together your CV of life when you are looking for opportunities. I will tell you that last year I started something called my story challenge, and I was just telling stories about my life and the struggles I've been through and have been able to overcome. And it went viral. I've never gone viral in my life. It went viral so much that I got invited by Google Business Group, who saw it and then asked me to come and share those exact same stories again at their event in August, and then started their own story challenge. And I heard that my story got to their Singapore branch. So whatever it is you're doing on social media, when you're sharing your stories, especially like you've seen everybody here who's shared stories, who's doing something based on what is personal to them, share your stories. Storytelling is important when you're driving social change. People want to trust you. They want to know you, they want to like you, and also they want to be related to you. They want to find something that's relatable. So sharing stories to drive social change is very, very important in this digital age. Tosin, you're the one person I know that's actually really documented your story in your book. And you talked about how you did so many things and all the struggles that you've been through and all of that. Now, apart from just documenting your stories, a lot of people have begun to meet you and say, okay, Tosin, we see how you did it. How can you help us do it as well? I know you've created something called the Influencer Masterclass to do that as well. So, and I know some people who have actually gotten results from that. One of them was nominated at the Future Awards. I can't remember. Bassey of Osudo was nominated. Another person who I know is also doing very well on social media as an influencer driving change is Dakolo.
Dakolo. Also to say of Money Africa too.
Yes, so you see amazing people have go. So I know that that is also your passion in driving social change, because you want to be able to create a culture where influencers in Nigeria are respected. Could you please talk more on that?
Okay, so I started the influencer marketing talk in 2017 because that year there was a report, because I usually I subscribe to, I'm sure you guys know the social media examiner. So I subscribe to them. So they usually have this yearly report. So when I read the one for 2017, they emphasized more on influencer marketing and the rise of influencer marketing. That also led me to register for their event in 2018. So I attended in San Diego, and I'm also going next month. Invest in your craft. You don't just sit at home and say, I'm a social media influencer, I am this, I am that. You invest, yes. So that's why I found out that we were talking more about influencer marketing and the rise of it. So I decided, okay, this is what I've been doing for as far back as when I started getting paid, which was 2011. So this is where Nigerians need to look at, also find a way to see where they can actually make, how they can actually make money on social media. So we started the training in 2018. We've done 4 classes. Now we have the 5th class, I think, next month or so. And so far, I think last year when we had different classes last year, and for some of the people who attended, actually made 6 to 7 figures last year. Now they've improved, not just on social media, not just on Instagram or Twitter. Even looking at them, they also get invited to speak at some of these events. So being an influencer basically is just you finding your niche or your passion, and also driving change and engagement within that same industry. And you can actually get paid. So brands are looking for niche influencers. So let's say, for instance, a travel influencer, a food blogger, or a beauty blogger. So imagine if Lacoste comes to Nigeria today, they need beauty bloggers. They don't need general influencers. So if a travel agency, there's a job on travel, maybe Lufthansa or Delta, they need influencers in the travel space. They look for travel influencers. So your passion will definitely lead you to where you're going to by using your influence to change your community.
Thank you very much for that, Tosin. So in case you are interested in being an influencer, sign up for her class. We'll just take one more round of questions before we take questions from the audience. Mr. Victor, Mr. Victor, people think that you have to be an Olorisupergal to champion a cause. You have to be a Faust to sing a song, and then people will follow you on social media. What do you think about that? People think that you have to have thousands of followers on social media first before people can listen to you and have your voice heard. I know that your Instagram is like my own.
Can I take it? Okay, awesome. So it's the same thing to falls back to the last question on influence. When it comes to influence, you don't need the big numbers, like 10,000 or 50,000 before you can become an influencer. You're actually an influencer if you have above 1,000. You can actually influence. Yes, so we have nano influencers, micro, macro, and celebrity influencers. You can actually champion your cause if you have small following. It's all about awareness, creating awareness, and also telling other people to also support you in the cause. Now, looking at the fact that we've helped Debbie, I don't know if you guys remember the lady who had cancer in 30. Yeah, so we helped Debbie raise some money. I think that year we got a lot of backlash. I don't know if you guys received the same thing too when you raised some money. And it started from our friends. I got together Esther Ijewere, and then we now needed to use our own platforms to spread the story and spread the news. But people wanted proof. So the Rugged Man was on that campaign too, and I remember a lot of people were on that campaign. They needed to see that it was real. The video is still on YouTube. We had to do a video showing people that this is real. So looking at I think 2013 also, I can't remember how many followers there, but looking at the small phone that we all had, we came together and said, champion. Because looking at what it is today, you don't need millions, you don't need thousands. Use what you have. You're also influential. You send broadcast on WhatsApp, people listen to you. So that's it.
There's really nothing else to say. But she asked a question which I think is important for all of us here. And she was like, do you have to be a Tosin, Ajibade, and who else did you mention? A Faust. And the answer is yes. Yes. You absolutely have to be that. And here's what I mean. They were not afraid to start small. Most people want that big, I start today and I get like 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. Rather than taking time to build the connection you have with your audience, you're all about the numbers. It doesn't make any sense for you to have 1 million followers on social media, and when you say help, not one person. Yes. So, be willing to start small and take the time to build the connection that you have, the intimacy that you have with them, and the trust that you have with them is absolutely important. It is better for you to be a big fish in a small pond than for you to be a tilapia in the, what's the biggest ocean we have? In the Pacific Ocean. So you get what I mean. So take the time, actually deliberately do that. One of my mentors, Dan Sullivan, recently crossed 2,000 followers. I started working with Dan Sullivan about 4 years back. Now, for you to understand this, in order for you to be able to be in the same class room with Dan Sullivan, you need to be bringing in $100,000 per annum. And there has to be proof. Instagram, last year, when I finally decided to follow him on Instagram, he had 900 followers. He's on the who's list of all the major influencers in the world, but there were 900 followers. The only time you'll get a sense of how powerful he is was when you clicked through to see who those 900 were. So don't get carried away by the numbers. Understand what exactly it is that you want for yourself. The numbers are easy to get. 30,000 naira every single month spent in adverts, 1 year, you will get 1 million followers. So it's not about that. Followers are the easiest thing to do if you have a budget for ads. Very, very easy. But connection with them, intimacy with them, trust. There's no buying that. You can't buy it. You've got to be willing to start small, and it's one person at a time.
Thank you very much, sir. Ugochi, do you have any final thoughts?
Okay, so I would say that we shouldn't look at the numbers. The things you should focus on is the impact of the work that you are doing. Sometimes you may not even understand how much you are doing. You might see that thing you're doing as very small until you begin to hear people's stories. On my birthday, that is when people begin to testify. Few people talk normally. They will tell you, oh, you helped me to this or you helped me to that. But usually it's on my birthdays that I begin to hear things that I didn't even know. People would say it's because they saw me take charge and fly, but they knew when I was starting. So seeing me do the things I was doing and doing it on an African scale, on an international scale, was like, okay, if Ugochi can do this, it's possible. I have this passenger that is always on my flight, either going from Abuja to Sokoto or Sokoto to Abuja. He's a young guy. And one day we got talking and I found out what his work, and he started following me on social media. You know, every time this guy now comes on my flight, he starts telling the other passenger, she's inspiration. She's inspiration. She's inspiration. I didn't understand what that was, but I just said inspiration. So I thought, I was just telling you, you are inspiration. So we had a conversation last week, and he said he was supposed to start something, right? But he just thought because of the nature of his job, flying Sokoto, Abuja, he didn't think he could do it. But every time he comes on board and he sees me flying, and then he comes to Instagram story and he sees I was speaking somewhere, I was doing, like, if this girl can do it, I can do it. He started something. There are many other stories that many people have reached out to tell me the things they started, the things they've done, the courses they've enrolled for, the applications they did. You know, all those little things, you increase the impact because it motivates people to want to start, motivates them to do more. Now, starting doesn't mean leaving your job. I think we should talk about that. It's not that, I'm still working, right? And I have other things that I'm doing. Everybody's proud of me in my office. The MD, they're all proud of me. But starting depends on whatever it is you want to achieve at that point. Taking extra courses, so your reach, your impact, you can inspire people to begin to do more. Then it increases your reach. So I've never been to Zambia before. I just know 2 people in Zambia because they were my classmates when I went for the Mandela Washington Fellowship. And sometime in December, one of those classmates, we had a gist, and so she wanted to celebrate me, and she put up my picture on her WhatsApp story. And somebody sends a message to her from Zambia. Is that not Ugochi, the safety chief? She wrote a storybook, The Adventures of Mona. It's on Amazon. I read some part of it on Amazon King. She just like downloading, and my friend sent a message to me, said, Ugochi, I'm so ashamed of myself. I don't know some of the things this person was saying. I've not been to Zambia yet. And she said, oh, I even watched her on YouTube. And I started thinking, okay, was it a video on YouTube, you know? So it increases your reach. Places you haven't been to, people begin to hear about the things you're doing, because a lot of people need information actually. And it ties to what you were saying. In your niche, be the one that should be called when the time comes. Some days ago, I worked closely with the US consulate when they need to organize events. So some days ago, they reached out to me to get them names of influencers. In my own wisdom, don't worry, your name came up last night, so we're going to talk about it after this. In my own wisdom, I put together a list of female influencers based on what I knew. And they reached out to me yesterday with an email. Only 2 people made the list for what they were looking for. It didn't mean that those people were not influencers in their own right, but for what they were looking for. And so, based on what they are looking for, Olorisupergal fits. So I'm going to be reaching out to her so that an email can be sent and all that. But that tells you that in that particular area that you don't have to be like somebody else. Just do you. When it's time, when they need people in that area, they would call you. I didn't even know there was a day for International Day for Disaster Reduction. I just woke up one morning and somebody sends me a tweet. The Mandela Washington Fellowship, that day was International Day for Disaster Reduction. They said, we are celebrating Ugochi Obidiegwu 2018 Mandela Fellow for her work in reducing disaster through a child safety storybook. Blah, blah, blah. I had to read. After I read, I had to write a post on how to reduce disaster. You know, you have to be on. Because truly, what I'm doing is actually trying to reduce emergencies, and of course, you know, emergencies will lead to disaster and all that. But you know, I hadn't even thought that far. So when they begin to look for people that fit a particular thing, let your name be the name that comes up. How would it come up? Digital trail. So please, when people are saying show off, it's not show off. You know what you're doing. You need digital trail. See, we'll be saying go global, right? When I went to the US, my aim was the 25 people in my class from various countries, they would know Ugochi for Ugochi, they would know the safety Chic, they would know the adventures of Mona. So that when they go back to their country, in their sleep, they just wake them, oh, we're considering doing something safety in the Ugochi. That is just it. So make sure that you are the name that people remembers. Because one of the things that encouraged me to push out myself in 2016 was I didn't have money to pay a Tosin. I remember I reached out to her then that we wanted to do school safety summit in 2017, and it wasn't part of their activities for the year. But when I reached out to a lot of people, I saw that there was a lot of cost involved. I did not have. The money I have, I was trying to use it to organize it, but I want to come and finish the money. So I had to start small and push myself. And now people say, oh, I have a platform. But it wasn't that way at the beginning. So you need to make a decision, tell your own story. Only you can say it the way that will be important. Only you can say it the way that is going to drive the change that you desire. Only you can say it to the way that it will catapult you on an international stage. Don't be afraid when you are called to sell yourself. Do it.
Thank you very, very much. I hope this has been an interesting panel session and you've learned something. We've been told that we have just very, very, very little time. So we'll just take 3 questions from the audience. So if you have a question, kindly raise your hands and someone pass you the mic.
Good afternoon. My name is Maureen. Just directed to Tosin. How long does it take to become a blogger, and how can we join the blogging seminars?
Okay, so I would say it took me years, but you don't need to go through that process anymore. But one thing that I can say for sure is you have to be consistent. Consistency is very, very important. Now, looking at the fact that